Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Textures keyboardist Uri Dijk to the podcast. Textures will release their new record, Genotype, this Friday with KScope Records. Uri talks about discovering metal and learning to play keys, the feeling of watching the bands you inspire pass you in popularity, the freedom to explore new musical ideas on Genotype, and more. It was a joy getting to talk to Uri, and Genotype is a phenomenal prog metal record, so make sure you check it out on Friday. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of As the Story Grows. If this is your first time checking out the podcast, welcome. You can find links in the show notes or over at asthestorygrows.com for our mailing list, our Discord server, and our Patreon page, where $1 a month will get you early access to every episode. And if you like what you hear, I would love it if you subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Enjoy today's conversation with Uri Dijk from Textures. I know the band kind of originated in like the Tilburg area. Is that where you currently are? Is that where you're from? Like, I don't know a lot about the geography of the Netherlands.
Oh, okay. Holland is quite small. It takes about 4 hours to drive from the furthest point north till the furthest point south, where Tilburg is quite far in the south.
Okay.
That's an hour. I live in the center. Tilburg is an hour and a half away from me.
Okay.
So by USA standards, that's nothing. Yeah, no, for my standards, Tilburg is quite far south. The only member that still lives there is Bart, our founding member and guitarist.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, it's easy to get together. The infrastructure in Holland is great. So,
yeah,
it's doable.
Yeah. Is it like a good country for, I don't know, being a professional musician or a touring musician?
That's such a difficult question.
Okay.
A touring musician, yes. I think in my experience, the Dutch venues and hospitality are by far the best in the world.
Okay.
Like, you really do get treated like a hard-working person who deserves a good meal and their rest.
Yeah.
And the venues are in Holland. There used to be a lot of money for culture, like from the government. This is unfortunately due to our right-winged political state at the moment is getting cut down a little bit. But you're from the US, so you know a lot more about that.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, the venues are really good. It's really nice. But for a band like Textures, Holland is really small. So if we have a tour, we do 3 shows in the Netherlands, and that's it. Yeah. Because the infrastructure is so good that people don't mind traveling an hour and a half by train or car or bus to a show. But yeah, since it's only 4 hours from one side to the other, then 3 shows, you've covered the entire country.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a shame talking to so many artists across Europe to kind of hear how much government is slowly stripping away money for arts and creative types. It seems like everywhere, and it's like, it sucks to hear. And I mean, it's never been that way here in the States. So
yeah, it sucks, but I mean, at least there is, there is some investment from the government in cultural stuff, and in the US, I think that's a lot less. I mean, the last and first time I was there was in 2011 on a tour. So, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
It's worse.
Yeah,
I think everybody knows that it's worse here now. What kind of gets you into music? Like, did you start out like playing piano at a young age, or you like have some sort of trajectory as a musician and as a fan?
Well, that's such a cool question. So I wanted to play piano ever since I was 10.
Okay.
But music's education was at that time so very traditional. So you need to read notes, musical notation. So I had to learn the recorder, like the wooden flute.
Yeah.
And after a year and a half, I threw it in the fire. I wanted to do nothing with music anymore until I was about 16. And a friend of mine put a headphone on my head and said, "Here's Children of Bottom. Here's Dimmu Borgir." And I listened to him like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I want to play guitar. So I ran home. I was skateboarding on the street. I ran home to my parents and said, "I want to play guitar." And they said, "No." So then it was my birthday half a year later. And in secret, I bought the same synthesizer the keyboard player from Children of Bodom had.
Nice.
And I just, started learning through Guitar Pro, doing that. And 2 or 3 years later, my parents saw I was really passionate about it, and they allowed for me to have some music classes.
That's awesome.
But yeah, my parents would listen to maybe the Beatles at home, but it was mostly just the radio. So I have no musical background, which I turned out fine. But if I look at my peers, their parents, they have bands they really love, and have a lot of musical inspiration from back home. I personally don't have that, but I had to create my own. Yeah. So hence metal. Metal is like a comforting blanket when you're a 14-year-old kid and you don't know what to do with your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. It's this wonderful dark cloud of feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you've progressed as a keyboard player and as technology has changed, do you find yourself drawn to physical keyboards and sounds inside the box, or have you drifted into more DAWs and VSTs as time has gone on?
Well, that's also such a cool question. So, the technology has gotten a lot better, but I think synths and like DAWs have always been kind of on the forefront. I see most technological rise I see in guitar tones and stuff like that. I studied at the Conservatory of Amsterdam, like the pop music direction, and we were always encouraged to use our laptop, mostly MacBook with like Logic Pro or MainStage, to use live.
Yeah.
And also as a student, you don't have a lot of money. So I was totally happy to have a MIDI controller and then have all my synths inside the box. And for touring, this is perfect. You have your laptop, you have a backup of your laptop, and you have a cheap MIDI controller, and that just works.
Yeah. And
I never had the money. Actually, I bought my first analog synthesizer with the money I got from when Textures quit. I bought a Moog Sub 37, and later I bought a Dave Smith Prophet Rev 2.
That's cool.
And I really got into analog synths after Textures quit in 2017, and since then I've been like totally outside of the box.
Yeah.
Really discovering that, and now when we're back together again, you get we have a show in India, for instance. I'm not going to take these expensive synths with me that can break,
Yeah.
So I'm back into the box and kind of merging the best of both worlds. So for Genotype, the album, it's like 80% analog synths. But on tour, I use like my laptop and I try to get as close to the sounds I use.
Nice.
But it's a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for touring makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so easy. You joined Textures in 2010, about a decade-ish after the band started. How'd you end up joining the band?
I played a few times. I used to be in a melodic metalcore band called Ethereal, and I played a few times with our singer Daniel's old band called Celise. And when Daniel joined the band, a few months later, the keyboard player Uri Dijk, he left the band, and they were looking for a metal keyboard player, which is quite a rare breed. So I know in Holland, I know maybe 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah.
That can do anything close to what I do, or better. But it's really small pool to fish in.
Yeah.
So he said, well, I know a guy, and we lived like 15 minutes by car away from each other. So he suggested me. I didn't even do audition. I just went to have a beer on the terrace with the guys, and they told me, you have 3 weeks to learn a set. Would you manage? I'm like, yeah, well, I have the gear, I have played a lot of shows. And they were like, okay, here's the songs, let's do it. And 3 weeks to learn the set. And we just went with it. And after 2 or 3 shows, they said, yeah, you're our guy.
Nice. and here you are all this time later.
Yeah.
There's a quote in the press release that says after Phenotype, the band felt obsolete. That kind of led to the breakup, or maybe a small view as to what led to the breakup. Was it just kind of an oversaturation of, I don't know, genty prog bands that led to that feeling of obsoleteness, or was it just like the struggle to find your place?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. I mean, some people say that Textures pioneered a lot of stuff, and then you see bands that have Textures as inspiration, and they like, they race you by.
Yeah,
like Tesseract, Periphery. When we played our first shows together, they were like looking up to us, and they've by far surpassed us.
Yeah,
which is really good for them. I'm really proud. Good friends and all, but. You just look around and say like, oh shit, man, we spent a lot of time on Phenotype and we spent also a lot of time on the old ideas for Genotype.
Yeah.
But we did kind of feel like, yeah, what are we saying? What do we still have to add to this musical pool that is being run over with great bands, and we're just like trying to barely hang on.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, we felt that way. Not everybody in the band had the same feeling. I didn't necessarily have that feeling. But yeah, I mean, the other part of it is just growing up. I don't have kids, but half the band at that time had their second child. I don't know if they like put it all in their agenda, like to make love to the wife at the same time or something. Like within a few months from each other, they all, like 3 of the 6 guys had their second child.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can understand it's difficult, being in a band in a environment that is so demanding.
Mm-hmm.
You see your plays on Spotify or album sales or your fees you're getting for shows, and your management is saying like, well, actually we should squeeze in another tour, and the label saying, well, maybe we can do another album in a year and a half instead of 3, and you get all this pressure from the outside, and you're socially, you're like depleted, you're like, we're doing this for fun, aren't we? Because we never made any money.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I mean, we can cover the expenses, but I mean, I'm not rich.
You're not getting
none of the.
Yeah.
I've many times calculated this, like over and over again, including inflation and stuff. But I would made like at least twice as much money working at a grocery store than I would have if I spent the same amount. I've spent on Textures.
Yeah.
Or maybe 10 times as much. I don't know, but you understand what I mean. And so you have all these factors coming in. Like, we've done quite well as a band in the past. We've said almost everything we wanted to say. Our social lives are demanding. The industry is demanding. Maybe we should quit when we're ahead, when we're all still friends. And that's what we did. And I still look up to a lot of the bands that have surpassed it. It's really effing impressive to see what they've accomplished and how they've also cut loose from the genre. This damning gent word.
Yeah.
I appreciate in a way. It's really nice. We as people, we need to categorize and give stuff we don't understand names, but it's also a label that's difficult to get away from.
Yeah, and it's so vast, and it's just like what is gent, what is not, right? Like any band that has a Chuggy Sugar Park gets like their gent now, right? Yeah. Was there ever a conversation of like, all right, we've started this other companion record to, even though the band was breaking up, to release what was Genotype at the time? Or was it just like we're just done and we don't want to put any more time and attention into this?
I mean, you mean the fact that we named it Genotype and we already announced it?
Yeah, you had announced it. I imagine there are songs written already and demos, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, the first idea was to have a double album, release it at the same time with a classical side. So 10 songs, like the classic album structure.
Yeah.
And the other side having a long prog song, like Soul Nigger Within.
Yeah.
Nigger. I don't know how to pronounce it. Don't. But at the time, Nuclear Blast, our label, said it's not a good idea marketing-wise. So we had to separate that idea, which kind of went against the whole concept.
Gotcha.
We thought, okay, well, we'll try to make it work. But then we weren't really happy with what we'd written, and then the whole story I just said about the personal life. So being apart from the band for 8 years, almost everybody's done different projects. They've always wanted to do but didn't have the time for. For me, that was electronic music. For Steph, it was being a vocalist in a band. You get back after so much time and you're like, okay, I have this old drawing I made 8 years ago, but now I just got new pencils. I just got a few new colors.
Yeah.
I actually even got new paper, and you're trying to make this old drawing work, and you've learned all these new techniques, and you're like, wait, this feels so forced. Yeah. This is who we were then. So it felt so much more natural to just start from scratch. And there's still a few elements from the old ideas we had, but we tried to look into a way that made songwriting feel natural.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as we had like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ideas, we're like, what the hell are we doing? We should just keep sailing this course.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever heard the old like demos before.
Yeah.
I mean,
they never will.
Yeah, maybe. But this is the freedom you get as an artist.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be people who say, well, release the old Genotype or whatever. But no. I mean, an artist doesn't necessarily share their sketchbook,
Yeah.
You can do this, but it just felt right to do something, to accept the fact that you've matured as a person and as an artist, and just go with that flow and keep this positive, creative energy. Yeah.
But when you guys started playing or the conversations, what was the genesis for let's get back together and, play some shows or just jam in a room? Was that kind of birthed out of COVID, or was it later?
Oh, no, actually COVID was, when that happened, I was so happy we split up. Like, I feel so sorry for the bands that had to endure that time. But no, it's just those children that were just born. They are now 11 years old, 10 years old. They're almost going to high school. So that part cleared up. Being away from something you're so invested in gives you the time to actually miss it.
Yeah.
Which you cannot if you're in the middle of it and, have all these frustrations. So now you can let go. And we see each other quite a lot. We have seen each other past the years. And we organized a barbecue. And we were talking about this idea, like, hey guys, how do you feel about our breakup? And would anybody feel interested in, starting this up again? And we just kind of laid that question. Actually, it was Steph, our drummer, who kind of dropped this question and said, "You know what? Think about it. Let's meet up in a few months, and let's see what everybody feels." And we did exactly that, and everybody was like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Nice.
So then we looked at the technical side of things. We contacted our old label, our old management, our old booker. Would they still want to help us? And the rest is history.
Yeah. Is that what kind of gets you to KScope for this release?
We reached out to Nuclear Blast. We actually still had 3 more albums on the deal.
Yeah.
But I mean, when we joined them, it was a really big honor.
Nice.
One of my favorite bands, Dimmu Borgir, is on that label. But I mean, we were one of the smallest bands, so we were also at the bottom of the pile when it came to help. And it's not like they didn't help us, but you really did notice that they put an equivalent amount of work in us to the amount of money we made them.
Yeah, right.
Which, from a business point of view, totally logical. But they said, "You know what? If you want, you can get out of our deal and maybe try to find something where you're, which better suits your need."
Yeah.
So then we went label shopping, and we got a cool offer from KScope. And there we're not one of the smallest bands, So you really notice that. I mean, they're also more into the prog scenes, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And you notice, we have a lot of contact with them. They have good ideas. So it's just nice to be in this new family again.
It seems like when you guys started writing Genotype, you really just let your creativity fly, and not there was nothing was off limits. Was that your perspective? This album is much more open and airy, and not just a lot of chugs and screaming. It's a lot of clean singing and ambient pieces and beautiful.
Yeah, no, everything was on the table, but we did so. For this album, we chose a slightly different approach, where we said, okay, we're going to write the album with a dedicated group, which was Steph, our drummer, Bart, our guitarist, and me, kind of to, make sure we didn't have to rely on everybody's inspiration, and just we had a dedicated day in the week where we could go write. And, we really wanted. In the past, we've shown the world that we can play fast, we can play complex rhythms, we can be eclectic and go from 20 different parts in a song, or making 17-minute long songs or whatever. And I think this mentality really fits in a young state of mind. I was always about playing the fastest and stuff when I was younger, but at some point you've done that, you can do it. But we all just want to write really cool, beautiful songs with a story, with air and space to actually tell that story. And I talked to Steph about this, and to Bart, and we were all 3 of us we put we made Spotify playlists, these would be my inspiration, and there was so much overlap. And I think this actually has to do with just being more mature and already having, how a dog has to pee against every every pull, at some point you've peed against a lot of stuff. So you're okay. Maybe try to kind of accept that you've done that, be proud of what you've done, and kind of let the pure inspiration flow we don't need to, how do you say this? Prove ourselves.
We've
done that, so we can just do whatever we want. And as soon as we started to write a few songs, and I think also the way we wrote the songs, this is a really strong point, because Steph can play a bit of guitar, he knows about music theory and stuff, but he just like sits down and he just does like, oh, can we do a song like it goes a bit like this, like and me and Bart, I'm sitting behind my piano or with a guitar with Bart, and we're like trying to figure out the chords a bit, and like, and he's like, oh no, it should be faster or slower, and we write this song like in an hour.
No, that's
from
cool.
Start to finish, and then later we spend a few weeks just filling in the riffs, filling in the details, and like simple drums like do da, like really simple approach, minimalistic approach, and then write the song, make sure the flow of the song is good, like the tension span is good, and all the technical stuff is later,
Yeah.
So we really tried to do it that way, and it worked for us.
You guys have Charlotte Wessel as guest vocalist on At the Edge of Winter. How'd you get connected with her and invite her in to do the track?
We had a few ideas for guest vocalists throughout the whole album. We didn't really keep track of the time as well as we should have. So at some point we were like, oh shit, we need to ask vocalists, but we're still in the demo phase for the songs we wanted to ask them for. But Edge of Winter was, I think, the first track we finished.
Okay.
And it did feel kind of cool to ask somebody we know personally is in the same, she's our peer,
Yeah.
She's my age, cool to just ask somebody from Holland who we like, and it was really smooth sailing. We just sent a demo asking her, hey, would you like to do guest vocals? And 2 weeks later we get a demo back and we change like one or two things, and that's the final take.
Nice. That's cool. The album's out January 23rd. What is the plan for the band for this year? I mean, Holland's small. Are you hoping to like tour Europe, or is it just kind of excited to have the record out there and see what happens?
Well, no, so we timed the release of the album with a tour we're doing with Ginger. So the 23rd is the first day of a 5.5-week tour throughout Europe.
Nice.
Supporting Ginger and Unprocessed. Kind of trying to expand on our fan base.
Yeah.
Because we've been away for so long. We thought doing headline shows at this point was kind of a gamble.
Yeah.
Because then you have to see how many people still remember you, and now we can actually reach new people that have never heard of us. I think we're going to go a bit more on that tour, kind of trying to expand on our fan base, really make a good platform for us to do a proper headline tour.
Yeah.
So yeah.